Commander Vashtai floated in the control center of his ship, the Kathmoran. His blue skin glowed softly in the dim light as he watched the screens around him. For 300 years he had done the same job. He traveled through space, watching young species learn to use fire, then metal, then electricity. It was slow work, but someone had to do it. The third planet in this star system was interesting. The creatures there called themselves humans. They had learned to split atoms and send small ships into space around their world. They also sent radio signals that traveled far into the darkness. Vashtai had been watching them for 50 years now. They were getting smarter, but they were still very young compared to his people. Today felt different, though. Something was coming toward them from the human planet. At first, Vashtai thought it was just another simple probe. The humans sent these small ships out to look at rocks and ice in their solar system. But as he watched this new ship, he noticed it was moving in a strange way. It was too smooth, too planned. "Zekran, look at this," Vashtai called to his science. "Officer, this human ship is not like the others." Zekran swam over to Vashtai's station. His green tentacles moved quickly as he checked the readings. "You are right, Commander. This ship is bigger than their usual probes. And look at how it moves. It knows exactly where it wants to go." Vashtai felt worried. The humans were supposed to be hundreds of years away from real space travel. Their ships should barely be able to leave their planet's gravity. But this ship was moving through space like it belonged there. "Run a full scan," Vashtai ordered. "I want to know everything about that ship." "Sir, that is against the rules," Zekran said carefully. "We are only supposed to watch from far away. If we scan them too closely, they might know we are here." Vashtai's 4 hearts beat faster. He knew the rules. For thousands of years, the Galactic Confederation had watched young species from a distance. They only made contact when a species was ready, which usually took many centuries. But something about this human ship made him feel like the rules might not apply anymore. "Do the scan," he said firmly. Zekran hesitated for a moment, then pressed the controls. Invisible beams of energy shot out from the Kethmoran toward the human ship. The beams would tell them everything about the ship's materials, its power source, and its technology level. The results came back in seconds, and both aliens stared at their screens in shock. "This cannot be right," Zekran whispered. The human ship's hull was made of materials that should not exist. The energy readings showed technology that was far beyond what they had seen from human radio signals. The ship had power levels that rivaled some Confederation vessels. "Run the scan again," Vashtai demanded. "Check for errors." The second scan gave the same impossible results. Somehow, the humans had built a ship using technology that was centuries ahead of what they should have. It was like watching a child who had just learned to walk suddenly start running faster than an adult. But then something even stranger happened. The human ship stopped moving. For a moment, it just floated in space. Then, slowly, it began to turn. It turned until it was pointing directly at the Kethmoran. "Commander," Zekran's voice was shaking. "I think they know we are here." That was impossible. The Kethmoran was using the most advanced hiding technology in the galaxy. No young species should be able to detect them, especially not from this distance. But the human ship was clearly looking right at them. Then the human ship began sending a signal. "What are they transmitting?" Vashtai asked. Zekran worked quickly at his controls. "It is ... It is numbers, sir. Mathematical sequences. They are sending us the Fibonacci sequence." Vashtai felt a chill run through his body. The Fibonacci sequence was a mathematical pattern that appeared in nature throughout the galaxy. It was often used as a basic intelligence test for first contact situations. But how could the humans know to use it? How did they even know someone was listening? "Are they still transmitting?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Now they are sending prime numbers, and now they are sending mathematical constants. Pi, the golden ratio, Euler's number." The bridge fell silent. Every officer on the ship was staring at the communications display. The humans were not just randomly sending numbers. They were demonstrating their intelligence in the clearest way possible. We're trying to talk. What do we do, Commander? Zekran asked quietly. Vashtai stared at the human ship on his screen. In all his centuries of watching young species, nothing like this had ever happened. The protocols were clear. If a young species detected them, they were supposed to retreat immediately and report to the Confederation Council. The Council would then decide if the species was too dangerous and needed to be contained. But the humans were not attacking. They were not running away in fear. They were trying to communicate using the universal language of mathematics. They were being peaceful and logical. Send a response, Vashtai said suddenly. Sir? Zekron looked shocked. Send them the next 10 numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. Let them know we understand. Commander, the protocols. The protocols assume that young species cannot detect us, Vashtai interrupted. These humans have already broken that assumption. If we follow standard protocol and retreat, they will know someone was here but left without talking. That might make them afraid or angry. If we respond peacefully, maybe we can control this situation. Zekran still looked uncertain, but he followed orders. The Kethmoran sent the requested mathematical sequence back to the human ship. The response came within seconds. The humans sent back a more complex mathematical proof, something that should have taken their species decades to discover. Then they sent another proof and another. Each one was more advanced than the last. Commander, Zekran said in wonder, they are learning. With each exchange, their mathematics are getting more sophisticated. It is like they are growing smarter as we watch. Vashtai studied the patterns. It was true. The humans were not just showing off their existing knowledge. They were somehow using the conversation itself to develop new understanding. They were adapting in real time. How is this possible? One of the other officers asked. I do not know, Vashtai admitted. But I have a feeling we are about to find out. The human ship sent another transmission. This time, it was not just mathematics. It was a crude but recognizable diagram of the Kethmoran S scanning beam, with notations that showed the humans understood how it worked. They analyzed our scan, Zekran said in disbelief. They figured out how our technology works just from being scanned by it. That was when Vashtai realized they were dealing with something unprecedented. The humans had not just detected the scan and understood it was artificial. They had reverse-engineered the technology behind it in a matter of hours. The implications hit him like a physical blow. If the humans could analyze and understand Confederation technology this quickly, what else could they do? What would they be capable of in a year? In a decade? Sir, we need to report this to the Council immediately, one officer said nervously. Vashtai nodded slowly. Yes, we do. But first, we need to understand what we are dealing with. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to the human ship. Full spectrum, all languages in our database. Sir, that would be full first contact protocol. Are you sure? Vashtai looked at the human ship on his screen. It hung there peacefully in space, waiting. Not threatening, not running, just waiting to see what would happen next. These humans had detected his advanced ship, analyzed his technology, and responded with mathematics and curiosity instead of fear or aggression. Maybe the old protocols did not apply to a species like this. Open the channel, he said firmly. As the communication link established, Vashtai felt the weight of history on his shoulders. This moment would change everything for both species. He just hoped he was making the right choice. The human ship was still sending mathematical sequences. But now there was something else in their transmissions. Music, simple, basic music that somehow made the complex mathematics feel warm and welcoming. These humans were not just intelligent. They were creative, peaceful, and brave enough to reach out to the unknown with curiosity instead of fear. Vashtai took a deep breath and prepared to make history. Dr. Sarah Chun felt the strange pulse wash over her ship like a wave of invisible energy. Every instrument on the bridge of the research vessel Endeavour started beeping and flashing at once. The electromagnetic sensors went crazy, showing readings. That should not be possible. What was that? Asked Lieutenant Marcus Webb, her second in command. He was gripping his chair as if the ship might fall apart at any moment. Sarah looked at the data streaming across her screens. She had been studying space phenomena for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The energy pulse had scanned their entire ship in just a few seconds. It had measured everything from the thickness of their hull to the power output of their engines. "We just got scanned," she said calmly. "By something very advanced? Scanned by what?" Marcus asked, his voice getting higher. "There is nothing out here. We are 3 billion kilometers from Earth." Sarah smiled. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. While other scientists studied rocks and gas clouds, she had always believed that humanity was not alone in the universe. She had spent years preparing for the possibility of first contact. "Look at Sector 7, she told Marcus. "Maximum magnification." The main screen zoomed in on what looked like empty space. But Sarah knew better. She adjusted the sensors to look for gravitational distortions and electromagnetic shadows. Slowly, a shape began to appear on the screen. It was faint, like looking at something through thick fog, but it was definitely there. "My God," Marcus whispered, "that is a ship." "A very big ship," Sarah agreed. "And it is using technology we do not understand to hide from us, but not perfectly." The alien vessel was at least twice the size of the Endeavour. Its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it almost invisible. But Sarah had studied stealth technology for years, and she knew how to look for the signs. "Should we run?" Marcus asked. "Should we call for help?" Sarah shook her head. "If they wanted to hurt us, they would have done it already." That scan was gentle. "They are curious about us, just like we are curious about them." She turned to her communications officer. "Jenny, I want you to transmit the Fibonacci sequence. Start with the basic pattern and keep going." "The Fibonacci sequence?" Jenny looked confused. "Why?" "Because it is a mathematical pattern that any intelligent species would recognize. If there really are aliens out there watching us, this will let them know that we understand mathematics and logic." Jenny started transmitting the sequence. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. Each number was the sum of the two numbers before it. It was simple but elegant, and it appeared in nature throughout the universe. They waited. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then their communications system received a response. They sent back the next 10 numbers in the sequence, Jenny said excitedly. They understood what we were trying to do. Sarah felt her heart racing. This was really happening. First contact with an alien species. She had dreamed about this moment since she was a child reading science fiction books. "Send them prime numbers," she ordered. 2, 3, 5, 7. 11, 13. Again, the aliens responded correctly. They sent back the next series of prime numbers, showing they understood the concept. "Now send mathematical constants. Pi, the golden ratio, Euler's number." Each time, the aliens responded with the correct information. But then something interesting happened. They started sending back more complex mathematical proofs. Things that human mathematicians had only discovered in the last century. "Sarah," Jenny said nervously, "they are sending us mathematics that I do not understand. This is way above my education level." Sarah studied the equations flowing across her screen. The aliens were showing off their knowledge, but they were also teaching. Each mathematical proof built on the previous one, like a lesson plan designed to help humans understand more advanced concepts. They are not just talking to us, she realized. They are trying to educate us, but Sarah had a secret. The Endeavour was not just a normal research ship. Hidden deep in its hull were technologies that most of humanity did not know existed. She was part of a special project called Deep Contact, a program designed to prepare for exactly this situation. "Marcus, I need you to activate the quantum neural interface," she said quietly. Marcus looked shocked. "Sarah, that system is experimental. We do not even know if it works properly." "It works," Sarah said confidently. "I helped design it." The quantum neural interface was humanity's most advanced computer system. It used quantum processing combined with neural networks that could mimic human intuition. The idea was to create a computer that could think like a human but process information as fast as a machine. More importantly, it was designed to analyze alien technology and figure out how it worked. "Bring it online," Sarah ordered. Deep in the ship, massive computers began to hum. The QNI system connected to every sensor on the Endeavour and started analyzing the alien scanning beam. Within minutes, it began to understand how the alien technology functioned. "This is incredible," Sarah breathed as data flowed across her screens. "Their scanning technology uses principles we have never seen before. It manipulates space-time itself to gather information." But the QNI system did more than just analyze. It began to suggest improvements, ways to make the alien technology more efficient, methods to extend its range, techniques to gather more detailed information. "Sarah," Marcus said in amazement, "the system is not just copying their technology, it is making it better." Sarah nodded. This was what made humans special. Other species might be smarter or more advanced, but humans had something unique. They could look at any problem and find a new way to solve it. They could take any technology and improve it. They never accepted that something was impossible. "Send our analysis to the alien ship," she decided. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked. "Should we not keep this information secret?" Sarah thought about it for a moment. They could try to hide their capabilities. They could pretend to be a simple, primitive species. But that would be dishonest, and it would not lead to real friendship between the species. "No," she said firmly. "If we want them to trust us, we need to trust them first." The Endeavour transmitted a detailed analysis of the alien scanning technology, complete with suggested improvements. They also sent their own technical specifications, showing the aliens exactly what human technology could do. The response came. Quickly, the alien ship sent back a flood of information. Star charts showing the locations of other intelligent species. Technical manuals for technologies that were thousands of years beyond human understanding. And mathematical proofs that would advance human science by centuries. But mixed in with all the technical data was something else. Music. Alien music that sounded like nothing humans had ever heard, but somehow felt familiar and beautiful. They are not just sharing technology, Jenny realized. They are sharing culture. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. This was better than she had ever imagined. The aliens were not treating humans like primitive children. They were treating them like equals, like potential friends. "Incoming transmission," Jenny announced. "It is different from the others. I think they are trying to talk to us directly." The main screen flickered, then showed the interior of the alien ship. A blue-skinned creature with 4 arms was floating in what looked like a control room. Behind him, other aliens were working at strange instruments that seemed to respond to thought rather than touch. The blue alien began to speak. The words were in a language that humans had never heard, but the ship's computer worked frantically to translate. "Greetings, humans of the ship Endeavour. I am Commander Vashtai of the Galactic Confederation vessel Kathmoran. We have been watching your species for many years, but we did not expect you to be capable of detecting our presence." Sarah stepped forward so the alien could see her. "Greetings, Commander Vashtai. I am Dr. Sarah Chun. We are honored to meet." "You, Dr. Chun," the alien said, "your species has surprised us greatly. In just a few hours, you have analyzed our technology and suggested improvements that our scientists never considered. How is this possible?" Sarah thought carefully about how to answer. "Commander, humans have a gift for solving problems in new ways. We do not always know more than others, but we often think differently. We believe that any challenge can be overcome if you approach it from the right angle." Vashtai was quiet for several moments. Behind him, other aliens were studying their own screens, probably analyzing human technology just as the humans had analyzed theirs. "Dr. Chun," he said finally, "we have a difficult decision to make. Our protocols say that we should report your species to our government and ask them to decide what to do about you. Some species are welcomed into our galactic community. Others are considered too dangerous and are isolated. Sarah felt a chill. She had always hoped that aliens would be friendly, but she knew that any advanced civilization would be careful about contact with new species. What makes a species dangerous? She asked. Usually it is aggression or the desire to conquer others, Vashti replied. But sometimes it is rapid technological advancement. A species that develops too quickly can destabilize the balance of power in the galaxy. Sarah understood. Humans were advancing very fast, and they had just demonstrated that they could analyze and improve alien technology in hours rather than years. That would be frightening to an established galactic civilization. Commander, she said carefully, humans are not aggressive toward peaceful species. We explore space because we are curious, not because we want to conquer anyone. We would rather learn from others than fight them. That is what your actions suggest, Vashti agreed. You could have tried to hide your capabilities from us, but instead you shared them openly. You responded to our contact with curiosity rather than fear or hostility. Sarah could see other aliens gathering behind Vashti, all of them studying the humans with intense interest. She realized that this moment would determine the future of both species. What do you recommend to your government? She asked. Vashti was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was thoughtful. I believe your species could be valuable allies, he said. You think in ways that we do not. You solve problems that we cannot solve. Perhaps it is time for the galaxy to learn from humanity instead of just teaching you. Sarah smiled. We would like that very much, Commander. We have much to learn from you as well. Then let us begin, Vashti said. But first I must warn my government about what is coming. The galaxy is about to change, Dr. Chun. I hope we are all ready for it. Commander Vashti floated in his private quarters, staring at the reports scattered across his desk. For the past 6 hours, his science team had been working non-stop to understand what they had learned from the human ship. The results were keeping him awake, and that was saying something for a species that only needed 2 hours of rest per day. His door chimed softly. Enter, he called. Zekran swam into the room, his green tentacles moving in the pattern that meant extreme excitement mixed with deep worry. In his arms, he carried a data tablet that glowed with urgency symbols. Commander, Zekran said, you need to see this immediately. The analysis of human technology is complete, and the results are impossible? Vashti suggested, beyond impossible, sir, they are terrifying. Vashti took the tablet and began reading. With each line, his 4 hearts beat faster. The human ship called Endeavor was not what it appeared to be. On the outside, it looked like a simple research vessel, the kind that young species used to study rocks and ice in their home systems. But hidden inside were technologies that challenged everything the Confederation thought they knew about scientific development. This quantum neural interface, Vashti said, pointing to a section of the report. Explain it to me in simple terms. Zekran's tentacles twisted nervously. Sir, it is a computer system that thinks like a biological brain but processes information like a quantum computer. It can analyze any technology and understand how it works within minutes. But more than that, it can improve the technology by thinking of new ways to use it. And this is possible for a species that we thought was centuries away from real space travel? That is not the worst part, Commander, Zekran continued. Look at Section 12. Vashti read further and felt his blood turn cold. The human ship had not just analyzed their scanning technology. It had improved it by 37%. Technologies that had taken the Confederation thousands of years to develop had been enhanced by humans in a matter of hours. How? Vashti asked quietly. We think it has to do with how human brains work, Zekran explained. Most species, including ours, develop technology in a linear way. We learn one thing, then the next, then the next. Each step builds on the previous step, but humans seem to think in patterns. They see connections that we miss. They ask questions that we never think to ask. Vashti set down the tablet and looked out his window at the human ship. It hung there peacefully in space. sending them music and mathematical equations like gifts between friends. But now he understood that this innocent-looking vessel represented something that could change the balance of power in the entire galaxy. "Give me an example," he said. "Well, sir, our scanning technology works by sending out energy beams that interact with matter and return information. We have been using this method for 3,000 years. The humans looked at our design and asked a simple question: what if we do not send energy to the target, but instead make the target send energy to us?" Vashti thought about this. That would be more efficient, much more efficient, sir. And it would be almost impossible to detect. The humans essentially invented a completely new type of scanning technology just by asking a question we never thought to ask. The commander felt a strange mixture of admiration and fear. The humans were brilliant, but their brilliance was dangerous. In the wrong hands, their ability to rapidly understand and improve technology could destabilize the careful peace that the Confederation had maintained for millennia. "What else have they shown us?" he asked. Zekran activated a holographic display. That showed various human innovations. They sent us improvements to our energy storage systems, our communication arrays, and our life support technologies. Every single improvement is practical and could be implemented immediately. But, sir, these are not just random lucky guesses. They show a deep understanding of physics that should take centuries to develop. Vashti studied the improvements. Each one was elegant and simple, the kind of solution that made you wonder why no one had thought of it before. But that was apparently what humans did. They looked at complex problems and found simple solutions. "There is something else, Commander," Zekran said hesitantly. "Something that worries me even more." "What?" "The humans are not just improving our technology, they are learning from it. Each exchange we have with them, they understand more about how Confederation science works. At this rate, they will know everything we know within a few months." Vashti felt a chill run through his body. The Confederation had always maintained their position in the galaxy through superior technology. They were not the strongest species or the most numerous, but they were the most advanced. If humans could match that advancement in months instead of millennia, everything would change. "Have you calculated how long it would take them to surpass US?" he asked. Zekran's tentacles drooped. "Based on their current rate of learning and improvement, we estimate they could exceed our technological capabilities within 2 years. Within 5 years, they could be the most advanced species in the galaxy." The room fell silent. Vashti thought about the implications. The Confederation had ruled the galaxy not through force, but through the fact that other species needed their technology and knowledge. If humans could provide better technology, the entire political structure of the galaxy would collapse. But there was another possibility, one that scared him even more. "Zekran," he said slowly, "what if we are looking at this wrong? What if the humans are not a threat to the Confederation, but the solution to our greatest problems?" "Sir?" Vashti stood up and began pacing around his quarters, his mind racing. "For the past 1,000 years, Confederation science has been stagnating. We have become so focused on maintaining our existing knowledge that we have stopped discovering new knowledge. Our greatest scientists spend their time preserving old discoveries instead of making new ones." "That is true, sir. The Council of Sciences has not announced a major breakthrough in over 2 centuries. But look at what the humans have accomplished in just one day," Vashti continued. "They have made improvements to our technology that our scientists never even considered. What could they accomplish if we gave them access to our full scientific database?" Zekran looked thoughtful. "They could solve problems that we have been working on for generations." "Exactly. The great barrier around the galactic core that prevents us from exploring the center of the galaxy, the quantum plague that destroyed the Altarian civilization, the energy crisis that is slowly killing the gas giant colonies. What if humans could find solutions to these problems?" The science officer's tentacles began moving in the pattern of growing excitement. "It is possible, sir. Their approach to problem-solving is so different from ours that they might see solutions we have missed." Vashti felt his fear transforming into hope The humans were dangerous, yes, but they might be the kind of danger that the galaxy needed. Sometimes you had to risk change in order to prevent stagnation. But there is still the political problem, Zekrin pointed out. The Confederation Council will see the humans as a threat. They will want to contain them or eliminate them before they become too powerful. Then we need to convince the Council that humans are an opportunity, not a threat, Vashtai said firmly. He activated his communication system and began composing a message to Confederation headquarters. But how do you explain to a galaxy-spanning government that a species they had dismissed as primitive could potentially solve all their greatest challenges? As he worked on his report, Vashtai thought about Dr. Sarah Chun and her peaceful, curious crew. They had responded to first contact with mathematics and music, not weapons and demands. They had shared their technology openly instead of trying. To hide it, they had shown trust and friendship. "Commander," Zekrin said suddenly, "we are receiving another transmission from the humans." "What are they sending now?" "Poetry, sir. They are sending us human poetry translated into mathematical equations and dot. Sir, it is beautiful." Vashtai looked at the equations flowing across his screen. Somehow, the humans had found a way to express art and emotion using pure mathematics. It was something no Confederation species had ever thought to attempt. They are not just technologically advanced, he realized. They are culturally creative in ways we never considered. He made his decision. In his report to the Council, he would recommend full partnership with humanity. Not careful observation from a distance, not gradual introduction over centuries, but immediate and complete cooperation. The galaxy needed what humans could offer, and humans needed what the galaxy could teach them. It was a risk. The Council might decide that humans were too dangerous and order their elimination. But Vashtai believed that some risks were worth taking. He finished his report and sent it to Confederation headquarters with the highest priority coding. Within hours, the most powerful beings in the galaxy would be debating the fate of humanity. "What do you think will happen?" Zekron asked. Vashtai looked out at the human ship again. Dr. Chun and her crew were still there, patiently sending mathematical poetry and waiting to see what the galaxy would decide about them. "I think," he said slowly, "that the galaxy is about to discover what humans are really capable of. And I think we are all going to be surprised by the answer." As if in response to his words, the human ship sent another transmission. This time it was a complete blueprint for a new type of faster-than-light drive, one that was more efficient than anything the Confederation had ever built. Attached to the blueprint was a simple message, a gift from humanity to our new friends. "Among the stars?" Vashtai smiled. Whatever the Council decided, he knew he had made the right choice in making contact. The humans were going to change everything, and maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed. The great assembly hall of the Confederation fell silent as Elder Crixthara rose from her crystalline throne. At over 10,000 years old, she was the oldest being in the galaxy, and her words carried the weight of countless centuries. Her ancient form glowed with a soft purple light as she addressed the emergency session of the Galactic Council. "Fellow beings," she began, her voice echoing through the minds of representatives from dozens of species, "we gather today to discuss a matter that could change the very foundation of our civilization. A species we have watched for generations has revealed capabilities that challenge everything we thought we knew about technological development. Around the vast circular chamber, beings of every imaginable form shifted nervously. Some floated in special atmospheric bubbles, others stood on multiple legs, and a few existed as pure energy contained in force fields. But all of them were focused on the holographic display showing the human ship. Endeavor. General Vekmur of the warrior caste slammed his armored fist on his console. "Elder, these humans are clearly a threat that must be eliminated immediately. They have advanced too far, too fast. In 2 cycles, they will be more powerful than any of us." "And what evidence do you have of hostile intent?" asked Ambassador Silvera of the Diplomatic Corps. Her 6 eyes blinked in the pattern that meant careful consideration. "All reports indicate they responded to first contact with peaceful mathematics and cultural exchange." "Peaceful now, General." Vekmer growled. But what happens when they realize they are superior to us? What happens when they decide they no longer need the Confederation? History is full of young species that turned aggressive once they gained power. Minister Kalinara of the Science Division activated her own display. Actually, General, that is not accurate. Of the 47 species that have achieved rapid technological advancement, only 12 became aggressive. The others chose cooperation over conquest. 12 is too many, Vikmor replied. We cannot risk the stability of the galaxy on the hope that humans will be peaceful. Elder Krixthara raised one of her crystal appendages for silence. Before we make any decisions, let us review what we know. Science Minister, please present your analysis. Kalinara's tentacles moved gracefully as she manipulated the holographic controls. The display showed detailed breakdowns of human technology and capabilities. The human ship appears to be a research vessel, but it contains hidden technologies that are remarkable, she began. Their quantum neural interface can analyze any technology and improve it within hours. They have already enhanced our scanning systems, communication arrays, and energy storage methods. Each improvement is practical and could be implemented immediately. How is this possible? Asked Representative Yaktile of the mining guilds. We have observed their species for generations. They should be centuries away from such capabilities. That is the most interesting part, Kalinara replied. Human brains appear to work differently than ours. Where we think in straight lines, they think in networks. Where we see problems, they see puzzles to solve. They approach technology not as a set of rules to follow, but as a canvas for creativity. The chamber erupted in discussions as representatives talked among themselves in dozens of languages. Elder Krixthara let them debate for several minutes before calling for order. Commander Veshtai, she said, you have had direct contact with these humans. What is your assessment of their character? The blue-skinned commander appeared on the central display, transmitting from his ship near the human vessel. Elder, I have spoken extensively with their leader, Dr. Sarah Chun. She has been honest, curious, and generous. When they could have hidden their capabilities from us, they chose to share openly. When we asked them technical questions, they provided detailed answers. They seem more interested in learning from us than conquering us. But can we trust them? Asked Trade Coordinator Velpan. Their rapid advancement suggests they may have been hiding their true abilities for generations. No, Vashtai replied firmly. My analysis suggests they developed these technologies recently, possibly specifically for first contact scenarios. They were prepared for this moment, but not in a military sense. They were prepared to communicate, to learn, and to share. Representative Morgith of the warrior world stood up, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. Preparation suggests planning. Planning suggests they knew we were watching them. How long have they been aware of our presence? Unknown, admitted Veshtai, but does it matter? They could have developed weapons, built warships, or attempted to track down our hidden observation posts. Instead, they built communication systems and cultural exchange protocols. Elder Krixthara had been listening carefully to all the arguments. Now she spoke again, her ancient voice carrying wisdom earned over millennia. In my long life, she said, I have seen the rise and fall of many civilizations. I have watched as fear drove us to make terrible mistakes, and I have seen how hope led us to great achievements. The question before us today is simple. Do we choose fear or hope? With respect, Elder, General Vekmor interrupted, this is not about fear. This is about survival. These humans could destabilize the entire galaxy. Or they could save it, replied Chief Scientist Dr. Hektara, speaking for the first time. The ancient being rarely participated in political discussions, preferring to focus on research. When she did speak, everyone listened. Explain, Elder Krixthara requested. Dr. Hektara activated her own display, showing a list of major problems that had plagued the Confederation for centuries. The Great Barrier preventing us from exploring the galactic core, the quantum plague that destroyed 3 civilizations, The energy crisis threatening our gas giant colonies. The stagnation of our scientific advancement. For generations, our greatest minds have been unable to solve these problems. She paused, letting the weight of those failures sink in. But look at what humans accomplished in just one day of contact. They improved our technology in ways we never considered. They asked questions we never thought to ask. They found solutions to problems we thought were impossible. What are you suggesting? Asked Minister Kalanara. I'm suggesting that humans might be exactly what our civilization needs, Dr. Hektara replied. Not as subjects to be controlled, but as partners to be embraced. Their different way of thinking could provide solutions to challenges that have stymied us for millennia. The chamber erupted again, but this time the tone was different. Instead of fear and anger, the voices carried excitement and possibility. Representative Naukith of the Explorer Corps stood up. Dr. Hektara is right. We have been thinking like an old civilization, focused on preserving what we have rather than discovering what we could have. These humans think like explorers, like pioneers. They could remind us what it means to push boundaries again, but the risks, General Thekmer protested. All progress involves risk, Elder Krikstara replied. The question is whether the potential benefits outweigh the potential dangers. Ambassador Silvera accessed her diplomatic database. Elder, I have reviewed the behavioral patterns of all species we have contacted in the past 5,000 years. The humans display the lowest aggression indicators of any species we have encountered. Their first response to superior technology was not fear or hostility, but curiosity and friendship. They sent us poetry, added Cultural Minister Ashtel. Mathematical poetry? No species has ever done that before. It suggests a level of creative thinking that could benefit all of us. Chief Engineer Lockmar, who had been studying the human technical improvements, finally spoke up. Their faster-than-light drive design is revolutionary. If it works as they claim, it could reduce travel time between worlds by 60%. That would transform trade, communication, and emergency response throughout the galaxy. Elder Krikstara could see the mood of the chamber shifting. Fear was giving way to excitement as more representatives began to see the potential benefits of human partnership. What does Commander Vashtai recommend? She asked. Full partnership, Vashtai replied without hesitation. Immediate integration into the Confederation with full rights and privileges. Not as junior members to be gradually introduced over centuries, but as equals with valuable contributions to make right now. General Thekmer made one final protest. This is madness. We would be giving unprecedented power to a species we barely understand. No, Elder Krikstara corrected. We would be offering partnership to a species that has already demonstrated wisdom, creativity, and peaceful intent. Sometimes, General, the greatest risk is not acting boldly enough. She rose from her throne, her ancient form glowing brighter. I call for a formal vote. All in favor of immediate full partnership with humanity? The voting displays around the chamber began to light up. Green lights for approval, red lights for rejection, yellow lights for abstention. The counting took several minutes as representatives from hundreds of worlds registered their decisions. When it was done, the results were clear. 67% in favor, 23% opposed, 10% abstaining. The motion passes, Elder Krikstara announced. Humanity is hereby welcomed as a full member of the Galactic Confederation, with all rights, privileges, and responsibilities that entails. The chamber erupted in cheers from most representatives, though some remained silent. General Thekmer stood up and left without saying another word. Commander Vashtai, Elder Krikstara continued, you are authorized to inform the humans of our decision and to begin immediate integration protocols. Dr. Hektara, I want you to prepare a full scientific exchange program. Ambassador Silvera, begin drafting the formal treaties. As the emergency session ended, beings throughout the chamber buzzed with excitement and nervousness. They had just made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Back on his ship, Commander Vashtai smiled as he prepared to contact Dr. Sarah Chun with the news. The humans had asked for nothing except the chance to learn and share. Now they would have the opportunity to do both on a galactic scale. He hoped they were all ready for what came next. 3 months had passed since the historic vote in the Galactic Council, and Dr. Sarah Chun could barely believe how much the universe had changed. She stood on the observation deck of the massive space station Synthesis, watching through the transparent walls as ships from dozens of different worlds came and went in a constant stream of activity. The station itself was a marvel that would have been impossible for either humans or aliens to build alone. It combined human innovation with Confederation resources, creating something entirely new. The hull used human-designed adaptive materials that could repair themselves when damaged. The power systems used alien energy sources channeled through human-improved distribution networks. Even the artificial gravity worked differently, using principles that neither species had understood before working together. Dr. Chun called Lieutenant Marcus Webb as he approached from the command center. "The morning briefings are about to begin. Are you ready?" Sarah smiled. Marcus had adapted well to their new role as humanity's first ambassadors to the galaxy. He had learned to communicate with dozens of alien species and had become particularly good at working with the Zephyrian engineers. "I'm ready," she said. "What's on the schedule today?" "3 major projects," Marcus replied as they walked toward the conference room. "The Great Barrier Research Team thinks they have found a way through to the galactic core, the quantum plague. Treatment Group has developed a cure that might work, and the gas giant colony energy crisis has been completely solved." Sarah felt a surge of pride. In just 3 months, human-alien cooperation had achieved breakthroughs that had eluded galactic science for centuries. The key had been combining human creativity with alien knowledge and resources. They entered the main conference room, where beings from across the galaxy were already gathering. Commander Vashtai floated near the central table, his blue skin glowing with satisfaction. Dr. Hektara had traveled from the Science Council headquarters to observe the progress personally. Even Elder Krixtara appeared as a hologram, her ancient presence lending weight to the proceedings. "Good morning, everyone," Sarah said, taking her place at the head of the table. It still felt strange to be leading meetings with beings who were thousands of years older than her, but they had insisted that humans take leadership roles in the research projects. "Let's start with the Great Barrier Project," she continued. "Dr. Martinez, what have you discovered?" Dr. Carlos Martinez, one of Earth's leading physicists, activated the holographic display. The image showed the massive energy field that surrounded the center of the galaxy, preventing any ship from reaching the core where the oldest and most mysterious civilizations were believed to exist. "We've been working with the Altarian mathematicians and the Zephyrian engineers," Carlos began. "The Confederation has been trying to break through this barrier for over 2,000 years using brute force approaches. But we asked a different question. What if we don't break through the barrier, but convince it to let us through?" Elder Krixthara's hologram leaned forward with interest. "Explain. The barrier appears to be artificial, created by some ancient civilization," Carlos continued. "Human analysis suggests it's not just a wall, but a test. It's designed to keep out species that aren't ready to meet whatever is at the galactic core." Dr. Hektara's tentacles moved in the pattern of excitement. "What kind of test?" "A test of cooperation," Carlos replied. "The barrier requires simultaneous inputs from at least 12 different types of technology, each representing a different approach to science. No single species has ever developed that many different technological paths. But the Confederation has dozens of member species, each with their own scientific traditions." Commander Vashtai understood immediately. "You're saying the barrier can only be opened by species working together?" "Exactly," Carlos said. "And, now that humans are part of the Confederation, we have the 12th type of technology needed. Our adaptive quantum systems fill the gap in the pattern." The room buzzed with excitement. For millennia, the galactic core had been unreachable. Now, thanks to human-alien cooperation, the path was finally clear. "When can we attempt passage?" asked Elder Krixthara. "The test fleet is ready now," Carlos replied. "We just need final approval from the council." "You have it," Elder Krixthara said immediately. "This is a historic moment." Sarah turned to the next presenter. "Dr. Kim, tell us about the quantum plague research." Dr. Jenny Kim, a biochemist from Seoul, stood up and activated her own display. The hologram showed microscopic organisms that seemed to phase in and out of existence. "The quantum plague has destroyed 3 civilizations over the past 1,000 years, Jenny began. "It's a disease that exists partially in our dimension and partially in quantum space, making it almost impossible to treat with conventional medicine." "Almost impossible," noted Dr. Hektara. "Right," Jenny smiled. "The key breakthrough came when we stopped thinking of it as a disease and started thinking of it as a communication problem." The aliens in the room looked confused. Jenny continued her explanation. "The plague organisms aren't trying to destroy their hosts. They're trying to communicate with them. But the communication is happening on a quantum level that most biological systems can't understand. It's like someone shouting at you in a language you don't know. The disease symptoms are actually the host body trying to respond to messages it can't comprehend." Commander Vashtai leaned forward. "So instead of killing the organisms, we teach them to communicate properly," Jenny finished. "Using human quantum neural interface technology combined with Confederation biomedical knowledge, we've developed a treatment that essentially gives the plague organisms a universal translator." "The test results have been remarkable," added Dr. Hektara. "Not only does the treatment cure the plague, but it actually enhances the host's immune system. The organisms become beneficial partners rather than destructive parasites." Elder Krixthara's ancient voice carried wonder. "You have turned a galaxy-threatening plague into a beneficial symbiosis?" "That's right," Jenny confirmed. "The treatment will be distributed to all affected worlds within the next month." Sarah felt tears of joy in her eyes. 2 of the galaxy's greatest problems had been solved in a single morning. She turned to the final presenter. "Chief Engineer Rodriguez, what about the energy crisis?" Maria Rodriguez, formerly of NASA's Propulsion Division, grinned as she activated the largest holographic display yet. It showed a gas giant planet surrounded by floating cities that were clearly struggling to maintain power. "The gas giant colonies have been dying slowly for decades," Maria began. "Their power systems couldn't generate enough energy to support large populations in such hostile environments. The Confederation's best engineers said it was an unsolvable problem." But humans don't believe in unsolvable problems, Commander," Vashtai said with amusement. "Exactly," Maria laughed. "We looked at the situation and asked why they were trying to generate power at all. The gas giants themselves are massive energy sources. The problem wasn't making power, it was collecting it." She manipulated the hologram to show new installations around the gas giant. "These are quantum energy collectors based on human adaptive technology and Confederation material science. Instead of fighting against the planet's massive electromagnetic fields, they harness them." Dr. Hektara studied the display carefully. "What kind of power output are you achieving?" "Each collector generates approximately 1,000 times more energy than the old systems," Maria replied. "But here's the best part. The more collectors we install, the more efficient each one becomes. They create a network effect that amplifies the total output. The colonies now have more power than they know what to do with," added Commander Vashtai. "They're actually selling excess energy to nearby star systems." Elder Krixthara was quiet for several moments, processing what she had heard. When she finally spoke, her voice carried the weight of her vast age and experience. "In 3 months," she said slowly, "Human Confederation partnership has solved problems that have plagued our civilization for millennia. You have opened the path to the galactic core, turned a deadly plague into a beneficial symbiosis, and transformed dying colonies into energy exporters." Sarah felt the weight of the moment. "Elder, we couldn't have done any of this alone. It required the knowledge, resources, and cooperation of dozens of species." "That is precisely the point," Elder Krixthara replied. "For too long, the Confederation has been focused on preserving existing knowledge rather than creating new knowledge. We became comfortable with our limitations. But humans have reminded us that there are no true limitations, only problems we haven't solved yet. Commander Veshtai swam closer to Sarah. Dr. Chun, there is something else we need to discuss. The success of these projects has attracted attention from beyond our galaxy. We are receiving signals from other galactic clusters asking to establish communication. Sarah's eyes widened. Other galaxies want to talk to us? To us, Vashtai emphasized. Human Confederation partnerships. Word has spread that our combined civilizations can solve problems that were previously impossible. Other galactic communities want to learn from our cooperation model. Dr. Hectara's tentacles moved in patterns of extreme excitement. This could lead to an intergalactic alliance. Cooperation on a scale never before imagined. But first, Elder, Krixthara interrupted gently, we must ensure that our own alliance remains strong. The next phase of cooperation will bring new challenges. Are humans ready for that responsibility? Sarah looked around the room at the beings who had become, not just allies but friends, creatures from dozens of worlds working together toward common goals. Problems that had seemed impossible were being solved through cooperation and shared creativity. Elder, she said firmly, humans are ready for whatever comes next. We've learned that the universe is vast and full of challenges, but it's also full of friends willing to help solve those challenges together. Then let us continue this great work, Elder Krixthara declared. The galaxy has been transformed by choosing hope over fear, cooperation over isolation. Let us see what the universe holds when we face it together. As the meeting ended and beings began returning to their various projects, Sarah remained on the observation deck, watching the ships come and go. Each vessel represented a different world, a different way of thinking, a different piece of the great puzzle of existence. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars for generations. Now they had not only reached them, but had found that the stars were full of friends waiting to share the journey. The decision to embrace the unknown had changed everything, and the adventure was just beginning. The future stretched out before them, infinite and full of possibility.